This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. We've got to leave plenty of time for our main event, which is going to go more than 20 minutes. It's next. The build-up has had Kane attack The Undertaker and put him into a vegetative state and steal his powers, which led to Kane dominating The Undertaker when he returned. At Night of Champions, Kane would defeat The Undertaker in a no-holds-barred match. And in an attempt to put away The Undertaker for good, Kane challenges him to a Hell in a Cell match, which we all know is Undertaker's match. And the story revolved around it being the match in which Kane made his debut nearly 13 years before at Bad Blood in Your House. A returning Paul Bearer reunited with The Undertaker on September 24th, and then restoring his powers. And Bearer came back in a casket, which I guess looks pretty eerie these days. Kane gets the win either way, though. In this Hell in a Cell match, they get plenty of time, 21 minutes, 37 seconds. Kane's out first, even though he's the champ. Bearer's going to lead Taker out. Taker wants Bearer out of the cell, but Bearer doesn't want to exit. It gets half a star. You know what's coming. Paul Bearer's going to get in the cage, and Kane starts chasing Paul Bearer, and you can imagine how ridiculous it looks. And Undertaker sits up, choke slams Kane. Undertaker goes for the tombstone, but Bearer turns on him again, shining the urn's light in Undertaker's eyes, and then a bunch of noise like lightning and visual effects are done in the arena. And then Bearer gives Kane the urn, and Undertaker looks shocked. Kane hits the Taker with the urn, and boom, choke slam for the pin. I guess it's okay. I don't know. Some of this silliness of the powers and all of this stuff in 2010 feels a little outdated. Maybe just looking back, maybe not at the time. You were there. What'd you think?
Well, far be it from me to ever say anything involving Taker and Kane. Was not good. It was physical, and in every sense of the fight itself. I think Kane got a pretty good chunk of meat knocked off of his head, which was bleeding a little bit, which added to it. The thing was the whole story with, Taker and Kane were brothers. Said before, say again, it applies here. Nobody wants to see brothers fight.
Right.
I think anytime you can go to any big match with Kane and Taker as partners, brothers of destruction, against two other guys, doesn't matter who it was, that was a much better, felt better, smelt better matchup than those guys fighting each other. And the effects, the special effects were just so with the lighting. It wasn't this big, huge, light that blinded the guy and which allowed the finish to go down or anything. It was, again, the trappings around the two talent wasn't as impressive, as the match could have been in just a normal setting. I don't think it warranted Hell in a Cell. It just didn't.
Yeah, listen, it's a slow match. It doesn't feel like the fans are all that excited about it. Eventually Kane knocks the referee out to allow Bearer in, and the lights go out. Bearer shines that light. It's the betrayal, I suppose. Meltzer would say this. He says, it started out with good matches, but the heat was hit and miss. Really, Cena versus Barrett was the only match with good heat. Undertaker versus Kane was one of the worst pay-per-view main events from the WWE in years. It was really sad watching how limited Undertaker was, as age has really caught up with him after his last absence. But it was made worse on the decision to have them go more than 20 minutes. The first match wasn't good because they were out there too long, and this was even worse. The finish saw Kane win again when Paul Bearer turns on The Undertaker. The show would have been a lot better had Undertaker Kane been put on second, and then ending the show with Cena versus Barrett, or even Orton versus Sheamus. At least Orton versus Sheamus would give the happy ending, but Cena versus Barrett is the match with the most heat and interest, and the ending was the key point of the show. A lot of people in the arena even left after the Cena match, not even staying to see Kane and Undertaker. It's easy to sort of armchair quarterback this now, Arn, but if you had it to do over again, Would you have put Cena and Barrett on last, or do you feel like you need to close with a Hell in a Cell match since it's a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? And in fact, maybe Sheamus Orton should have closed, or do you think they got it right the first time?
It's one of those, I don't know. I will say this, to their defense, seeing Percy waddling like the penguin in Batman trying to get away from Kane in slow motion was worth the price of admission. And that had to be one of the largest suits ever put together by a seamstress in the history of seamstresses. Percy was a large man at that point. So that was your entertainment portion for me. You could second guess everything. If you're going to name a event, if the theme of it is Hell in the Cell, if you're not even going to put one of those Hell in the Cell matches in the main event, I think you discredit the fact that you branded it Hell in the Cell, even though in building shows, the one that might have left you with the right taste in your mouth could have been the Cena match. Hearing that for the first time, that's a maybe. I just think that this pay-per-view was thrown together without dictating certainly two Hell in a Cell matches, and some of the matchups were just felt like generic matches, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. Overall, the readers of the Wrestling Observer were split on the show. They gave it 40.5% thumbs up, 39.7% thumbs down, and 19.8% thumbs in the middle. What say you, Arn? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle on this one?
I don't think this one, for a number of reasons, and certainly not, I'm not going to put it on the talent because they still went out there and busted their ass. And I think, the first match, that three-way was worth the price of admission.
Yep.
If I'd have bought a ticket to that show, I would have been, a little disappointed, but I wouldn't have been pissed because that match was really very good. I'm going to give it, the same recommendation that you would. If you only watch one match from that show, watch that one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young guys getting after it. I just don't think that unless you're bleeding and some people are really in distress, unless you want to go back up top and somebody fall off the top of that thing, there's no need or reason to have a Hell in a Cell match because it's not being trapped in a meat grinder like it should be. Hell in a Cell should be two guys trapped in a meat grinder, and somebody's going to come out on the other side as ground beef. That's my opinion.
No argument for me. They thought the best match on the card, just like you and I, was the three-way Bryan, Miz, and Morrison, then followed by Barrett, Cena. And fans thought the worst match was Kane, Undertaker. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.